So this past summer, Mom and I decided to remodel our kitchen. Now, we had talked about this for a number of years, but I have always resisted too many horror stories about remodels and how long they took. And not only that, but I grew up remodeling our old farmhouse. We had a 1901 farmhouse, and we remodeled every single part of it, all the way down to the studs, even new studs, and back up. We should have just built a whole new house. And we did the work. I grew up in the chaos and disruption and dust of remodeling, and I had no desire to remodel anything, ever. And then you talk to people about their horror stories of their kitchen remodels, 4 months, 6 months, etc. Like, no, we're not remodeling. Besides, I was used to the old kitchen. It functioned. I was comfortable, right? Why do we have to disrupt that? Yes, there's some things that might be nice if they were different, but after all, it's fine. But Mom wanted a new refrigerator. And truly, the pantry wasn't all that great. But still, I said, no. And then a friend of mine said, you know, your cupboards really are on their last legs. And my older sister said, Mom deserves the refrigerator she wants. Right? And so I gave in. And so we started looking in more earnest, and we went to various places, and we had plans drawn, and then I got cold feet, and we backed off a bit. And then one day I was driving down the road, and I saw this place there was a cupboard cabinet shop, and I pulled in, and I talked to this very nice Lutheran man. His kids go to Luther Haven, and I started to see possibility. I started to catch a vision for what might be. And I saw some really amazing granite countertops that I fell in love with. I started to become excited about the possibility of something new. And they promised they could be done in 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks didn't seem that bad, right? And so we picked the cabinets and the countertops and the backsplash, and then I discovered, you know, the cabinets don't actually come with the poles, right? You need to pick out drawer poles. And then, of course, we needed new flooring, and oh, by the way, if you're going to do that, you really have to paint. And we still had to pick out that new fridge, right? And the pantry, and yes, it cost money, and it was a disruption, and at times a royal pain. And I was very surprised at how many times we were told, you need to call the electrician again, or the plumber again. But friends helped with the painting. We actually had fun picking out what we wanted. The pain was temporary, and now we have a beautiful new kitchen. And we're still getting used to it. We're still trying to figure out where everything goes, but I'm really loving my new kitchen. I think that kitchen is actually a good example of change. And if you would please put up the first slide. So a number of years ago, change can be good. A number of years ago, I presented this equation at another Diocesan Convention Bishop's Address. So the possibility of change exists when you have dissatisfaction with the current reality, times a vision for a new reality, times a tangible first step. And all of that has to be greater than the resistance that will naturally occur. So you have to have some dissatisfaction with what is, or why would you change it, right? And you need to have a vision of something different, or you won't be able to change. And you have to have a tangible first step, or you won't even start. And you have to be able to overcome the resistance for what will be there, even if it's just inertia. I might have initially had a vague sense of dissatisfaction about the kitchen, but my resistance to changing it was way too high for any number of years to overcome. I had to increase my dissatisfaction and decrease my resistance. I had to increase the vision of what could be, and I had to have a tangible first step, the promise of 3 weeks. Right? So I want you, for right now, think about a change that you either are trying to make or want to make in the place where you worship. Think about that. A change you're either trying to make or want to make in the place where you currently worship. In light of this change equation, what might need to either increase or decrease? You have it in your head? Turn to your neighbor and share. Just your neighbor, you're just sharing in pairs. This is a quick exercise. I got it. All right, I'm going to call you back. You could probably talk about this for quite a while, right? But the reality is, we don't naturally decide, I'm going to do things different, unless we can be dissatisfied, can see something new and see how we get there. Now, change can be chosen, or it can be imposed. But one of the things that's important to remember is that change is actually not the same thing as transition. Okay? William Bridges says that change is an external reality. It's something that happens to us or lives in the realm of our outside actions. Transition, on the other hand, is our internal process in response to that external change. Next slide, please. So put another way, change is outside, transition is inside. Transition is the psychological, emotional, spiritual reorientation that humans must undergo for a change to be complete. So if we look at this picture, what we see there is a state of transition that is an ending of what was. That's on this far bottom left-hand corner, right? It's that ending of what was, the loss of something, the let go of something. Even if this is the change that is occurring as something you want, there is an ending of what is. And there are a number of things can happen in this place of ending. You can grip even harder to the old in the comfortable way. You might feel confused or even disoriented. You might experience grief or wonder if there's still a role or a place in the system. Who am I now? What is happening? What we know is that something is over, but we're not yet fully into what we will become. The neutral zone, not that zone between the Federation and the Romulans, for those who understand. But the neutral zone in the bridges transition model is that place where we have let go of the old, but the new thing is not yet there. Think about that story of the Israelites wandering in the wilderness, right? They have let go of being slaves in Egypt, but they're not yet to the promised land. This is a time of being remade. It's a necessary chaos, perhaps, from which a new creation is born. It's a time of both danger and potential. And there are two main traps. The danger is trying to go back to the old. We see this in Scripture. Were there not cucumbers and leeks in Egypt? I hate this manna. All right? And then there's the other trap of fast forwarding, because you have the discomfort. You want to just jump into the promised land before you've actually become the new. Okay, so that's the neutral zone. So, by the way, the x-axis is time. The y-axis is the attention that the leader pays. That was initially on there, so it somehow got lost. The new beginning is when the change has taken hold, right? The transition has been made to the new reality. We have embraced and taken hold of the change. It is now part of who we are and the way we do things. But here's the interesting thing. If you look at this picture, at all three stages are in every single part on this timeline, right? Every single stage is represented every single place in time. In any change, there will be people who are still in Egypt, longing for the leeks and the cucumbers. In every stage, there will be some who are already in the promised land. And there will be people who are wandering in the wilderness. Now, over time, the number of people in each stage will change. At the beginning, there's going to be more people at the ending. As you go over time, you're going to have more people in the neutral zone and then more in the new beginning. And so the focus of where the leadership pays attention and how you think about helping people make transitions, you have to realize where the main focus needs to be. Are you in the ending, the neutral zone, or the new beginning? But you'll always have people in every place. One of the reasons why we say change is hard is we only sometimes deal with the external reality without dealing with the internal spiritual and emotional work that has to happen. Everybody here, if you're here, you are in a place of leadership in your community. And as you think about the change you just identified and named to somebody, think about how this graph might give you more insight into the work of making that change. Because even a good and desired change, one that you've embraced, you've talked about with the congregation, you've had listening sessions, you've refined it, the congregation has bought into it, you will still have people at every stage of the transition. Where leader pays attention will need to vary over time, but the leadership must pay attention to all three stages. See, congregations can get stuck in one or the other. Congregations can get stuck in the ending, in the letting go. We see this with congregations that long and hold on tight to the way things used to be. But congregations can also get stuck wandering in the wilderness, right? And we usually see this when there's more chaos in the system than anything else. Because that's that whole, we don't really know who we are. We know we've let go of something, we know who we're not, but we're really not sure who we are. We're not yet to that promised land. And then, when you get to the promised land, how do you know? Part of that is to ask, is this truly a change that is embraced internally? Is the emotional and spiritual state embrace this? Where leadership pays attention will help congregations make the transition and cement the change. So again, think about the change you want to make or have been trying to make. Where do you think people might be on the transition graph? Where do you think you might need to be paying attention to both the external and the internal spiritual and emotional work needed for that transition? What might you need to do in order to address both the external change and the internal emotional and spiritual work? All right, you can take the slide down. So why am I talking about change and transitions? There are a lot of changes going on in our world and church today. There is a lot of, I would say, chaos, disruption. People are anxious, even fearful, and those are states of emotional and spiritual realities. There are great divisions between groups of people, to the point where sometimes it seems like there are different realities that we live in. And even if a congregation says, we have the same mind about everything that is happening outside these walls, there are still the disruptions of the changes in our world and even the changes that are actually taking place in your congregation. People are born and people die, people move and people enter. Even the healthiest congregation always undergoes change. Mom likes to say, change is. And if we don't remind ourselves that in the midst of change, we have to manage the spiritual transition that are part of that, we will miss a major part of our work in leadership. We have to understand how transitions really happen. And that there will always be people in all of those zones, including ourselves. So on the diocesan level, we have multiple changes taking place. The first one, obviously, Alex talked about. We are building a new retreat center and cabins at Camp Cross, and that is a glorious and great change. As you heard, we're expanding and improving our facilities so we can better serve our diocese and our members. For years, I didn't understand the desire to have cabins with bathrooms. I was younger then. But even when we have a desired, agreed upon, supported, fabulous change, we still heard comments this summer about how people were experiencing the transformation and the change. During camp season, I often said, there are challenges of life and challenges of death, and the challenges of life are preferred. But people had an emotional attachment to the way camp looked. And not acknowledging that would have ignored the spiritual, emotional reality of the transition we were calling them to make. So sometimes those of us who are already in the promised land need to remember that some are still letting go and tend to that spiritual stage. We have had the privilege of having Canon Caroline McCall working for this diocese for the past 4 years. For some unknown reason, she's decided it's time for the next phase of her life, specifically retirement. Canon McCall is a layperson, which means she's allowed to do that. All right? And I am sad that she is leaving us. And I actually do understand her desire to retire, her desire to spend more time in her garden. I do get that intellectually, but in the Bridges transition model, I am still in Egypt, just saying. But Caroline, it has been an amazing gift to have you work with here. So. She will continue to work for the diocese through January of 2026 in order to continue the work of the Building Bridges Healing Divides Lilly Grant. As you saw earlier, we had a number of clergy changes taking place. We have folks who have retired. We have folks who have moved. We have folks who have joined us. I completely forgot about St. James, which is remarkable since that is the congregation I grew up in. But, all of this takes place. This is the normal change that happens in the clergy community on the diocesan level. Our clergy community is like any others. We miss those who move on. We are strengthened and enhanced by those who enter. Now, 4 years ago, we started the intentional work on our strategic plan, specifically around our targets to deepen our relationship with Jesus Christ, to embody the hospitality of God, and to be people who listen and learn with curiosity and courage. And Diocesan Council took the lead on that. They offered Bible studies on the various topics. They offered targets. They examined diocesan prayer, various practices for our congregations to engage in and people to work on, various practices, various formations. All of that we've been offering for the past 4 years. Diocesan Council as full decided that we're not going to do that in 2026. We think there's plenty of offering out there that you can continue to use. What we want to do as a Diocesan Council is step back and do some assessment of where we are. We want to hear from you. What has been useful? How are you using the material? What do you need as an individual and as a community of faith in order to deepen your relationship with Jesus Christ, in order to offer the hospitality of God, and to listen and learn with curiosity and courage so that we might better love God and love our neighbor. And we'll make sure that the material that we've had in the past 4 years is available for your ongoing use. And as a reminder, we have a number of really good formation materials beyond that available for diocesan community. We have the streaming Work of the People videos, which are really amazing video series. We have the Being with Small Group. We have other small groups. We have evangelism training. We have, as Sharon said, the Wardens and Treasurers times. We have many other offerings you can use. Please reach out to Ken and Andrea if you want to have help with your discipleship formation in your congregation. In the midst of the changes in our world, in our congregation, in our diocese, we need to remember that a large part of the work of leadership is managing change and transition. And first, often, we have to manage our own self. Pay attention to your own emotional and spiritual health. It matters. Pray, study, reflect. Because managing change is not simply organization development. You and I are followers of Jesus. So when we think about leadership, we need to look to Jesus. We need to look to Jesus for how we manage change and transition. We need to be like Jesus. So Jesus was prepared for the work. He started his public ministry by being baptized at a time of testing in the wilderness. But he was at least 30 before he even got there. He had spent time in prayer. He knew the scripture. He had gone to synagogue his whole life. He worked with his hands. He knew the culture around him. We are called to be prepared, to spend time in prayer, to engage in discernment, to learn everything we can about our community and our neighbors. Jesus took breaks. He would go away by himself to reconnect with God. He would spend time with his disciples alone. And just as he rested and refreshed and retreated, we can do that too. An exhausted worker is an ineffective worker. And Jesus celebrated. And he talked about celebrations. 3 days of a wedding feast, and he provided even more wine. His parables talk of great celebrations when the lost were found. I said this at Jonathan's celebration. He was actually accused of being a drunkard and a glutton. I find that hard to believe. But I have no difficulty believing Jesus enjoyed times of feasting and celebrating with his friends. The work Jesus gives to us is not supposed to be drudgery. Let us take time for celebrations. Jesus invited others to join him, not with all calls, but with specific invitations. He met Peter and James and John washing their nets where they actually worked, and he invited them to follow. Jesus met people where they were and invited them in to the task. And when one invitation was actually turned down, one specific invitation was actually turned down, Jesus loved him and let him go. He loved him and he let him go. He was invitational, but he didn't push. I always wonder, what happened to that rich young man? How are we both inviting people in specifically and allowing them to go away if that's what they need right then? Jesus gave time for people to learn. He kept teaching and helping people learn over time. He did a lot of teaching. Some of that teaching was a little strange. I remember one time when he said, "Do you understand all these things?" And his disciples said, "Yes." And I think, oh no. He modeled by his own life what he was teaching. And he spent the time necessary for people to come alongside. He taught by word and his deeds. And then he gave authority for his disciples to go and do the same. He shared the ministry. We hear Jesus send them out in pairs. Pairs, by the way, that's important. Don't do ministry alone. Pairs. And he said, go proclaim the good news and heal the sick, and then come back and report in. Tell me how it went. And then he did some more teaching. And the disciples learned by doing and by reflecting on the doing. Our task is to share the work and to work together. Jesus never asked anyone to work alone, and we shouldn't either. I said this Thursday, if you find yourself engaged in ministry by yourself, you're either too far in front, too far behind, or lost. Don't try to do it by yourself. Jesus was non-anxious as a leader in a time of great uncertainty and change. Non-anxious doesn't mean being in denial, right? He knew the reality of his world. The day of Jesus was a day of violent oppression by the government, collusion by the wealthy, division and prejudice in society. And Jesus said, do you want a different way? He offered a vision for a different way of life and concrete steps to get to that vision. He offered to us by his life a vision of the kingdom where all are already saved. And he walked with us to show us what that reality means and what it takes. In our day, we are called to offer a different way, the way of Jesus. We are called to live a different way, the way of Jesus. We are called to model a different way, the way of Jesus, and stay on task and remain true to the call and live fully into the way of Jesus. So how do we do that? Well, every day we're faced with a choice. Do we respond to the world around us with the language of violence and division and hate? Or do we respond as followers of Jesus, offering love and compassion and mercy? You and I are called to be communities where we are Jesus-centered, offering blessing and invitation and grace and love and hope. We are called to be different. We are called to love our enemies and do good to those who hate us and bless those who curse us and pray for those who abuse us. And that's not always easy. But If we're going to try to follow Jesus, we make this choice. And I think our 12-step siblings remind us just how we do it. We do it today. Today, this moment, this place and time, this where I am right now, today, I will resist evil. Today, I will live the Jesus way. Today, I will see Christ in the face of another. Today, I will serve the Christ in front of me. Today, I will respect the dignity of the person before me. Today, I will guard the sacredness of creation. This day, I will pray. This day, I will see the good. This day, I will steward the gifts given. This day. And then we get up tomorrow and do the same, and we do it together. We follow Jesus together. In the midst of chaos, we offer calm. In the midst of cruelty, we offer compassion. In the midst of fear, we offer hope. In the midst of darkness, we offer light. In the midst of hatred, we must be people of love, for if not us, who? Now, personally, and much more mundanely, in my own work on the diocesan level, there are some concrete areas I'm focusing on. Work such as strengthening our lay leadership formation and leadership development for our laity across the diocese, so that all congregations will have strong leadership regardless of size or location or how many clergy they have. Enhancing our capacity at Camp Cross so that it may be a place where all ages encounter God. Recruiting a Latino missioner and congregational planter so that we may better love our Latino neighbors and invite our Latino siblings to join us following Jesus. Continuing to work to ensure our clergy have what they need so that they may thrive in ministry today. But all of this work is done so that we may be a witness to the Jesus way of life, so that at the congregational and individual level, we may be followers of Jesus who make a difference. This is a world of hurt that needs the healing Jesus brings. This is a world of darkness that needs the light that cannot be overcome. This is a world of hatred that needs love. A world of revenge that needs justice. A world of division that needs bridges. This world needs Jesus. Because I believe only Jesus can transform this world. My brothers and sisters and siblings in Christ, this world needs Jesus. Because only Jesus transforms this world. And you and I are the hands and feet of Jesus today. This world, this diocese, all of our towns and communities and rural areas need you to be Jesus today. Proclaim peace to a divided world. Offer the bread of heaven to those who are starving for the divine. Heal those who have been broken. Invite others to experience the gift of Jesus. Because this world needs the gift of Jesus. Will we offer the gift? Will our dissatisfaction with the way of the world, our vision of a transformed world of God, our tangible first step of work, be enough to overcome the resistance we might have so that we can change and be the change we seek? And will we remember that this spiritual and emotional internal work needs our time and our attention so that we spend time in prayer, in study, in holding the hearts of all we minister to? Let us follow Jesus together into the glorious vision of the kingdom that he offered. A vision of resurrection and peace and love. That is our reality now. We are already living in the kingdom of heaven now. And it's not yet fully realized. That's the reality we seek to bring into being. So let's bring this into life by embracing it, by living it, by inviting others into it. So I want to end with a prayer from our hymnal. Shout out to David Gortner for suggesting this particular one. It's one of my favorite, by the way. It's a prayer in first person. I changed it to the plural to reflect our life together. Take our lives and let them be consecrated, Lord, to thee. Take our moments and our days, let them flow in ceaseless praise. Take our hands and let them move at the impulse of thy love. Take our hearts, they are thine own. They shall be thy royal throne. Take our voice and let us sing always only for our King. Take our intellect and use every power as thou shalt choose. Take our wills and make them yours. They shall be no longer ours. Take ourselves and we will be ever only all for thee. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Dispatch, I believe we have some announcements.
I do have a few. First of all, a note from Linda Finney, who's in charge of the quilt raffle. She wants to let people know that we are over $400 raised so far. Over $5, I'm being signaled. Over $500 raised so far. When does the raffle close? Right now. Okay. Do you want to pull a name, or are you ready to? Okay, so the drawing will be the 23rd of November for those of you who have invested in this raffle, and you'll learn about the results then. Thank you, Linda. Anyone who has a specific role in tomorrow morning's Eucharist, that's the deacon at the altar, distributing communion, asperging, presenting UTO offerings, or praying the names of the baptized or confirmed, please stay in the nave after evening prayer tonight for further instructions. So don't immediately bail right after prayer. I'm also reliably informed that this is the last call for Shameless Commerce swag. You can shop during the social hour this evening or tomorrow, because tomorrow the room becomes the clergy vesting space. And finally, a reminder about how beverages work. The food works as it has been for supper. The beverages at the back table or out here just outside this door, just as last night, so you should have a couple of red tickets left. Oh, and the social hour will have some food at the snack table as well. Thank you.
I feel like there's an announcement that I'm forgetting, but I'm not remembering what it might have been. So, sorry? Yes, thank you. Don't forget to clear your tables so that it's ready for supper. Social, as Jane said, there will be food in here and 2 drink stations, so we'll have time for social hour and gathering. There will be, so hold an evening prayer is at 5 p.m. Tiffany, sorry to do this in front of everybody, would you prefer that we take a picture after evening prayer in the cathedral? So here's what I'm going to suggest. At the end of evening prayer, we're just going to smooch to the center aisle. Tiffany will climb up to the whatever you would call that, to the loft balcony area. We'll take a quick picture. If you're not having a specific role at worship, then come frolic at social hour. Those who have a specific role, you'll have a short instructions, and then you can frolic. So between now and 5 o'clock, when the evening prayer starts, hold an evening prayer. Thank you to Kimmy and David for officiating those. You may get more books. Right? And is the Shameless Commerce open, Mallory? Is that going to be open between now? Sorry? And you can get more commerce. And we will be in prayer at 5 in the nave.